Christmas is coming this week, and the following week is obviously New Year's. And New Year's is a time when people look back at the previous year, 2019 in this case, think about what happened, what didn't happen, and get a renewed enthusiasm for what they're going to do in 2020. So, what holds people back most of the time? And most of the time, what holds people back is self image. If you have not read it, I would strongly recommend that you read Release Your Brakes by Jim Newman. It was out of print for a long time. It's now back in print. You can get it on Amazon for, I think, around $30. The comments I get on people who read that book and how it helps them to understand why they do what they do and how to undo some of the lessons that were learned throughout their upbringing is really, really powerful, and how to get out of your comfort zone. Essentially, people a lot of times think that they can't do it. And the power of listening to somebody like Sean in podcast number 23 and podcast number 54 on my website is that they can relate to Sean maybe better than they can relate to me or relate to Dan, and then say, wow, if Sean can do it, I can do it too. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I do know that Sean did it. So certainly there's a lesson to be learned from that. And I think that's the takeaway. Look at Sean. A lot of people said, well, yeah, he's right when he said, I don't speak the language as well. I had 2 failed businesses. I didn't know a lot about the industry I was going into. But through all that, he ended up persevering. Yes, he had bad credit. Yes, he didn't have essentially any money. If you listen to that story a year ago, he had to borrow money to pay a traffic fine so that he could get his license so that he can Uber. And a year later, he's sitting in a Mercedes C63 automobile, wearing a really nice suit, and decided he would take a trip on a private jet just because he never did that before. And it was to a business meeting. But think about that transition in a year. Again, I can't guarantee that's going to happen for you, but take a listen to those podcasts, and I think you're going to find that you can relate to that, and you'll see also, which is the value in these, that it is possible. Is this going to work for you? I hope it is going to work for you, but the key to that is to take action. So listen to podcast 23 and 54. But one of the things that Sean mentioned, and it's been mentioned over and over again, is that people focus on all the things that might go wrong. Well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And how am I going to deal with that? And that when you look at those thoughts, and Napoleon Hill said this pretty well, negative thoughts are like weeds in a garden. They just are the natural state of things. They come into your mind, and you need to pull them out and plant another thought in there. And if you consistently do that, you'll get better and better. But I would say take a look for the next week at the negative thoughts that come into your mind, write them down, and then after the week, look back and see how many of those things materialized. And I think you're going to find that 95% of the things you worried about, well, I won't be able to do this. What if the person doesn't have rapport with me? What if they don't like my deal? What if, that those things never happened. And then think about how much effort and distraction those things took from what you should be doing, and that is to keep your mind on what you want and off what you don't want. So make it a conscious effort. Remember, they're like weeds in a garden. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, just means that that's the natural state of things. So pluck them up, get rid of them, and keep your mind on what you want to do. I think one of the most important things is to follow the QLA steps. Get a good grounding and understanding why you think the way you think about yourself. Work hard at getting out of your comfort zone, and then follow the 7 steps. The people that make the most mistakes say, I don't need a dream team. I don't need lawyers and accountants. I just want to be a deal junkie and fast forward to doing the first deal, and everything will work out. And it's like anything else. Build a foundation. Put together your dream team. Put together your professionals, your accountants, and your lawyers. Talk to financial institutions about how you're going to finance this. And then action, action, action. Look for businesses that are not for sale. And I think what you're also going to find is that a lot of times people end up coming up with excuses that really are the same way. They're excuses that don't happen. Some would argue that Sean, with his bad credit a year ago, ended up being in a position where he couldn't make these things happen. But guess what? He did make them happen. He found ways to finance these two acquisitions that he did. He found ways to take money out of those. So again, go back and think about that. Think about the negative thoughts for the next week that come into mind. Write them down and then go back and look at it. And I think you're going to find out that you're afraid of things that really don't occur. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I work hard to make the emails, the podcasts, the YouTube videos actionable. And that's what I've done here, giving you, I think, an action that if you go through and look at it, you will find very much so that you're afraid of things that you shouldn't be afraid of. And again, keep your mind on the things you want and off of the things you don't want. So have a good Christmas, good New Year's. I look forward to working with a lot of you. If you're going to the January 18th, 2020 seminar in London, Dan has asked me to MC that. I think there's an awful lot of people that have emailed me saying that they're going to go, like to have a cup of coffee or whatever. Don't know if that's going to happen. I think I've gotten 100 requests so far to meet, but certainly in that venue, if there's the opportunity, at least come up and say hello. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. First time in, I don't know, 20 years, maybe longer than that, that Dan has done a one-day like that. Okay, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and make 2020 the year that you can look back on and say, wow, look at everything that happened and the change from 2019 to 2020.